Connect. Amazon Connect is a little bit different from most of the other Amazon services, as in it is a very targeted service with a very specific set of functionality that can be very useful for people, and we'll explore a little bit in what it is and why it's better than its competitors. So Amazon Connect is the cloud contact center that was originally used by, or is being used to this day by Amazon.com, and after being used there for a number of years, they productized it and made it available to AWS as well. As you may or may not know, Amazon.com and Amazon Web Services are two separate businesses. They just happen to share the same name. And Amazon.com is the online marketplace, and a lot of the Amazon services were developed. A lot of the Amazon Web Services were developed under the Amazon.com flag first, and then productized and released to the wider audience. The interesting thing about Amazon Connect is that it's an omni-channel contact center service, so it doesn't just do voice, it also does chat. And combined with the quite advanced text-to-speech, speech-to-text, as well as the AI capabilities of Amazon Web Services, this delivers a quite compelling experience. Connect has a bunch of different functionalities, and we'll dive into those in a minute. Most use cases fall in one of these two categories. So we have the use case for large, medium and large contact centers, either enterprises that have lots of customer contacts, or sometimes what we also see is companies who manage support desks for multiple of their customers. They are also very interested in Connect, considering that this allows them to really service lots of different customers of theirs, while optimizing the amount of resources that it takes, both on the agent's side as well as on the infrastructure side. So those medium to large contact centers, they usually have quite complicated workflows, multiple queues, skills-based routing, a whole bunch of requirements on the reporting. And that's the main use case that you'll see Amazon talking about, or Amazon Web Services talking about. There is another use case, and it's one of the things that we're already using Connect for in HeleCloud as well. We use it as an office phone. As you may or may not know, HeleCloud has offices in London, in the UK, in the Netherlands, in The Hague, and in Sofia in Bulgaria. And we use Amazon Connect to route phone calls to a single person, regardless of which country they're calling from. But because of the call flow, the call flows, we are able to route calls to the correct person who is on shift, and out of office hours automatically make sure that there's an automated message and voice recording that gets sent to the right person. The advantage of this is that doing this with Amazon Connect is that with Amazon Connect you only pay for minutes that are being spent in calls. Amazon Connect itself costs next to nothing, so that makes it a quite effective solution, and a lot better than the experience that, for instance, Skype for Business offers, which is what I see quite a few SMBs use these days. So who is using this, you might ask? These are public reference customers from AWS themselves. They're not necessarily our customers, but just to give you an idea that this is a very mature solution. Of course, Amazon.com themselves is using this, but as you see, it's widespread across many large organizations. Now that you have a little bit of an idea of what Amazon Connect actually is, let's look a little bit into what it does and how it looks like from the inside. Basically, there are 4 components to Connect, and we'll go through each one of these in the next couple of slides. you'll see the customer side is basically where the customer is interfacing. The customer is either calling you or logging a chat conversation. Then contact flow is the part that makes decisions based on how the customer is contacting you, what the choices in the menus are, what the potential integrations are doing, and the contact flow puts the customer in the correct queue. The queues are then used for skills-based routing and a whole bunch of other things to make sure that a conversation ends up with the correct agent that can handle it. And on the agent side, you'll see there's a small user interface for agents to log into, connect, set their availability, and receive phone calls. So if we dive a little bit more into these, there's a number of things I want to highlight for each one of these components. The customer, they will most likely never really realize that they're using Amazon Connect. They're simply calling a phone number or starting a chat conversation in an online chat, and for them there is an abstraction away from Connect because they don't really necessarily need to know. On the customer side, though, AWS provides 3 different ways to have a phone number: direct dial, toll-free, or importing an existing phone number. And basically, AWS can give you can allocate a phone number for you in a number of countries, not all, but most countries in the world. You can get a phone number allocated, and that becomes the phone number that your customers can call. Very often, though, you'll see that there is already an existing phone number, and you'll just forward calls from that number to the Amazon Connect phone number that isn't really displayed anywhere. It just receives incoming calls as a forward from the actual published contact number. And having that extra step in there allows you more flexibility in rerouting calls to a different call flow if you want to. Contact flow and queue is basically the part that gets a customer connected to an agent that can help them. So the contact flow defines the whole flow in the flow chart. I'll show you an image of it in a minute. That determines the exact journey and all the different paths a person can take, and depending on the choices in that path, they might end up in a different queue, and therefore a different agent might service them. So on the queuing side, there's something called skill-based routing, and basically that means that let's say you have 100 people that are sitting by the phone, 40 of them speak English and Spanish, 40 of them speak English, and 20 of them speak Spanish. So not every call, if it's a Spanish call, it should go to those people who actually speak Spanish, which is in this case 60 out of 100. But in there, besides languages, you might also have people who are well versed in desktop support and people who are well versed in server support. And skill-based routing allows you to say, okay, I have a Spanish call about server support, so these are the 5 agents that can handle that. And obviously, you can set priorities on a queue to determine who gets to the top of the queue. So, for instance, if you have something like a premium support case, you could argue that you want to have premium support customers be pushed to the top of a queue directly without waiting for the standard support people, so that you can provide faster service to the people that you care about the most. And then routing profile is a relatively new addition, but it's quite nice. It's kind of a templating system. So you assign an agent a routing profile that says what types of contacts can that agent receive, and how does the priorities look like. And by assigning every agent a routing profile, you can, if you want to change something in the routing, you only have to change the routing profile instead of having to go through potentially dozens or hundreds of agents and set their new priorities. So it creates a bit of an abstraction layer, and therefore allows you to be more smart with who goes where. The contact flow, this is an example. So this is a live GUI. If we have some time at the end, maybe Abdul will take us through the GUI, but this is all click and drag. So you can click any of these boxes and drag them anywhere, click on the choices that you get there, and very easily edit the contact flow and see where a person will end up depending on their choices. There are lots of different actions that you can take before someone gets either transferred to another flow or to, let me take a pen. So maybe if someone enters, they're not disconnected. Then you check the attributes of the person. If it's not a chat message, then it goes into the phone call flow. If some of the attributes don't have a match, then we add some contact attributes. We play a message, and then from that message we get to a menu for the customer where they can input a number, and depending on which number, let's say 3. You might get transferred to a flow that has a Lambda integration. And then if that flow errors, then you get a message, an automated message that says, "I'm sorry, something went wrong. We're very sorry," and then you get disconnected. So this was one path, and as you can see, there are dozens of paths, and you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. Generally speaking, you want to keep it simple though, because no one likes to have to go through 10 different menus when they 10 different menus of IVF when they call you. But that's entirely up to you as a user. Then the last component is the agents. The agents are relatively simple. They want to log into Connect and make sure that they are available, and then from that moment on, either handle incoming phone calls or doing outgoing phone calls, or handle chat messages that will come in through the browser interface. It's relatively straightforward. Those people will most likely never see a call flow in their life. They won't see the admin dashboard of Amazon Connect. They will purely be interacting with the user interface. And here are some screenshots of what this actually looks like by default on a mobile environment. And so as you can see, it's very simple. At the top, you can set your status, and then you see an incoming phone call. If it has a recognized number, then you will see the number. If not, then you'll only see this, and then you can accept the call or reject the call. And here on the left, you see the interface for chats. Very simple, yet very effective, and especially in COVID times, really convenient that you can be an agent from anywhere in the world. You don't need to be in the office to be able to take calls. Last part I want to talk about before handing over to Abdul is the reporting and monitoring. As anyone who's been in a customer contact center knows, reporting and monitoring are incredibly important. Basically, there are two different types of reporting on a high level. There's real-time reporting, where you can see how many people are queued to be waiting, and you can see how many people are logged into each one of the parts of Connect. You can see information about your routing profiles, etc. Real-time reporting is important for both the floor managers as well as the people that are on the phone to see what their performance is, for instance. Besides the real-time reporting, there's obviously also a very big need for historical monitoring. And this, broadly speaking, happens in two different types. There's what is called a contact trace record, which basically represents a single interaction as it moved through the system. So who spoke to which customer, how long, when was this, how long did it take, and a whole bunch of other metrics that you can gather from there. The second type of historical reporting is agent activity driven metrics, which means metrics that tell you something about the performance of an agent. So this could be the average hold time, how long has a customer been on hold, how many contacts has an agent handled, and for instance, non-productive work time. There's a specific definition of how Connect and most other monitoring solutions, most other contact centers handle non-productive time. Then lastly, there's also options for recording as well as live monitoring calls, and you can choose from the standard option. You can hear what the customer hears, including what the agent says. You can hear what the customer says when they're on hold. Of course, these are all subject to privacy laws, so you need to look at what is legal in your country and what kind of disclaimers you need to give them. Here in the Netherlands, very often the disclaimer is this call may be recorded for training purposes. So that legal aspect is entirely up to you, but there's quite a bit of flexibility in recording as well as monitoring. The next part is about integrations, and I'll hand over the mic to Abdul.
Thank you, Walter. Okay, we will begin with the endpoint groups. We'll talk about integration in the endpoints, and we'll end with some of the specific integrations like Lex and Poly and a few other things. So beginning with the endpoint groups, the next slide, there are two main groups of endpoints that AWS provide for Amazon Connect. There's the Connect part and the Connect participant. The Connect is what helps you manage your Amazon Connect instance, your users, your contact flows, permissions, monitoring, etc. And the Connect participant, most people, they will use this to integrate chat clients for their customers, but it can also be used for your agents if you want to use a different interface than the one Amazon Connect provides. Well, the APIs are constantly being updated. As of 3 weeks ago, most of the basic ones are available. For the contact flow creation, they have a JSON-based language specific to Amazon Connect. On these slides, we see the different ways we can access the endpoints we have mentioned. The AWS CLI, this is typically used through Bash. It has access to all the APIs available. This is useful for your CI and CD pipelines. We have also the SDK. It also has all the available APIs. These are a bit more language specific, and you will probably need this for your integration. If you need something to help you maintain a state, there are multiple tools out there, but we'll talk about 3. For CloudFormation and CDK, there's no official resource yet. There is an open source project, but it uses Puppeteer in the background, so it basically uses the browser to set the things you need. I would say since the APIs have only been released 3 weeks ago, I would wait a little bit for the official support. On the Terraform side, as of yesterday, there is no update yet on whether supporting Amazon Connect, but I'm sure it will come soon, because the SDK that Terraform uses already has been updated to the one that supports Amazon Connect. Moving on to the customer chat integration, there are 3 official examples available of this. I have a link for it below in the beginning and the end of the presentation. I am showing a picture here on the right side of one of those examples. I deployed it on a test Amazon Connect instance, and also a test website. The example also provides the CloudFormation template that deploys the supporting infrastructure needed to enable this. Now, on the client side, unfortunately, the code is minified. That means there is very limited. You're very limited in how you can modify it. There's no timeline there's no timeline on when the source code will be released, although it was asked for. Hopefully it will be released soon. If you need to connect this to your existing website, you will probably need someone with JavaScript knowledge. Integration is not limited to the web. Anything that enables you gives you a programmatic way of sending and receiving messages, you can integrate with, think like WhatsApp, Telegram, etc. One of the main advantages of using Amazon Connect is that it is simpler to integrate with other AWS services. There are over 150 of them. We'll talk about a few later, but there are plenty of those to integrate with. Next, we can see some of the partners. There's a huge, growing, rapidly growing ecosystem. Each one of those provide their own integration with Amazon Connect, and they're grouped into what kind of service they provide. Now, the next slide will show how we usually integrate. The main way you would integrate with third parties or your own systems in the middle of a contact flow will be through a Lambda. You can call any Lambda you want, and the Lambda you call will do anything you program it to do. You can use the output of your Lambdas to make decisions throughout the contact flow. An example of this, you can query your CRM to display a customized message for your customers. Next, we have an example of the data. It's important to know that you own your data. This is our test bucket. It contains actual recordings and transcripts. We're showing here the recordings. They are both in open format as opposed to proprietary ones. What this means is you can take these anywhere and other people can use it, analyze it, etc. You will also have access to the same thing. Another example is the metrics. You can keep using Amazon Connect's dashboard and reports, but you can stream the metrics somewhere else for analysis. Next, there's Amazon Poly. This is the first integration we'll talk about. Amazon Poly is a service that turns text into lifelike speech. I have prepared the sample, and I hope you can hear it. Walter, you mind?
Your call. If you are happy with your service, press 1. If there was some room for improvement, press 2. If your issue is not resolved or you would like more help, press 3.
Yeah, I leave it up to you to decide whether this is good enough for your use case. It is certainly good for some. We have used it. If you prefer something else, you can hire a professional actor, a voice actor, and upload their recordings to use instead of this. One note about if you decide to go with Amazon Poly, there are two voice engines. What you just heard is the neural one, the better one, but it is not available in all regions. I have included a link below to show the to show the regions that support the neural voice engine. Next, we'll talk about Amazon Lex. This is a chatbot AI. It's what powers Amazon Alexa, the virtual assistant. There is a lot to it, but we'll talk about a small section of it. Traditionally, in an IVR, we ask customers to maybe dial numbers. go through a long menu or wait through long queues. And what if we, instead of having this multi-level menu, we ask Lex to figure out what the user needs using a chat or voice, just a basic one. Or what if we can eliminate or reduce the need for an agent altogether? It doesn't, of course, it needs a little bit of configuration, but there is native support for it in Amazon Connect, and you can test it and try it out. Finally, we'll talk about contact lens for Amazon Connect. The contact lens is a set of ML capabilities for Amazon Connect. Think of it as the merger of Amazon Comprehend and Amazon Transcribe with the integration with Amazon Connect. Once we enable recording of voice and chat, we get the ability to search through it. In this screen here, you see basic functionality, date, queue, channel, it's the basic stuff. Things become a little bit interesting on the second slide, where we can search for keywords, even those that were said in a voice chat or in a voice call. We can also search for conversational characteristic like the sentiment and non-talk time. A good example for this is you might want to search for instances where the customer sentiment at the end of the call was poor, and then you get some results and you try to understand why that happened. So in the next slide, once you click on a specific instance of those, you get a page that looks like this. This is the contact trace record. From here, you can see the entire call or chat transcript per speaker and their sentiment. You can also replay the whole recording. One very neat feature here is that you can redact any sensitive information for both voice or calls or chat transcripts. In the chat transcript, it will just remove the word. It will put something like a placeholder in it, and in the voice, it will just remove the sound. And in the permissions, you can make sure that only specific people have access, if any, to the unredacted information. The second slide will show the top panel of the same page. It shows an overall sentiment change throughout the call, as well as a breakdown by sentiment and by talk time. And yeah, this is it for the integration section. Back to you, Walter.
Thanks, Abdul. The last part is to show you a little bit about what we're doing with Amazon Connect at HeleCloud and which kind of services we offer. It's a very short one, and after that we'll go to some questions. At HeleCloud, we have Amazon Connect offerings, and basically they fall into two different categories. We have professional services and managed services. On the professional services, we help you with whichever part of Amazon Connect you need help with. So it's very specific to your designs and your desires, but we don't actually run it for you. So we help you set it up. We help you manage the migration to Amazon Connect, and after that, it's up to you to run it and to maintain it. We also take care of integrations. We take care of things like Lex and Poly. We're happy to help with any of those. On the managed services side, we take either what you've built or what we've built in the professional services side and run it for you. And that means that we will also be there when it breaks and also when you want to change call flows. A lot of customers that we've spoken to, they want to have the call flows not managed by themselves because it means they can make too many changes. And specifically with call flows, it's something you want to be very careful of because especially in a complicated call flow, you're one mistake away from having your customers end up in the wrong place. So call flow changes should be super managed by detail. On the managed services side, we also offer the HeleCloud landing zone. So as Abdul showed you a few slides back, usually Connect is not the only thing you want to be running. So it's very common to have, for instance, logging enabled to S3 buckets, to have Lex and Poly pieces in there, but also to have Lambdas that connect with all kinds of other places. And at the same time, in order to run a secure and safe infrastructure, you should probably be looking at what AWS calls a landing zone. And we have a specific proposition for a landing zone, which I'll happily tell you more about later. But that comes included with the managed services. As far as why you should take managed services, we have two main things. We have a 24/7 service, so we can answer questions in the middle of the night. And the other one is the fact that we have incredibly high operational excellence. So AWS measures a customer satisfaction metric on us, and the last time they measured it came out to 87%, which is unusually high for an AWS services business. So I'm quite happy with that. And at the same time, in the managed services side, we also offer standardized dashboards and reporting. I won't go too much into the timeline, but on the right, you can see a sample timeline, and it really depends on how complex your current setup is, and if there is a current setup, how much time that timeline will take exactly. But here you can at least see the 5 phases and potentially the 6th one being handover. Yeah, so that's kind of what we do with Connect in HeleCloud. And then lastly, I want to close up with some useful links that we've come across during our research for this talk. Feel free to have a look at them. And as far as I'm concerned, we can go to questions.